We still have great comedy out there. There's always Ramblin' Joe Biden.
Problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump.
This year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. I mean, you think about it.
What the fuck?
They got to price in the carbon. They have to price in the price of carbon. And so there's so much, I think, anyway, look, one more question here. There are people who have lost, anyway. Why the hell would I take a test? Wait, you're getting nervous, man. Calm down, it's okay. Anyway.
Wait, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, you switched on me. This is my wife, this is my sister. They switched on me.
In addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are, well, let me go the second. January of 2018, I found myself in a circumstance where, 2012, and I was waiting for a black man, Tom, to come and pick me up from Philadelphia, a guy named Barack Obama, on the 17th of January to take me to Washington, a trip I've made 1,000 times, commuting every day, to be sworn in as president and vice president. Like a president. Wait, you're getting nervous, man. Look, you're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
A lot of guys want it. I'm not worried.
That's a stupid way to say it.
Donald.
It'd be 154 billion.
2.5 million, 300,000.
Like 600 plus thousand people. There's each and every one of them.
60,000. Yeah, 60,000.
660. I missed it.
It would put 720 million women back in the workforce.
Joe 30330 and help me in this fight. Thank you very much. Took on Putin in terms of Iraq. In terms of what was going on in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. I've taken on these leaders around the world. I'm the guy that's gone in and met them. I've taken on all these leaders. U.S. troops don't stand. That's like just flat out acknowledging. We've been doing everything we can do to keep Biden from being the nominee, and guess what? We tried it in Iraq. It's not working, so now we're going to try, in Iran. Excuse me. We tried in Ukraine. Good afternoon. Welcome to the nation's Constitution Center. I had the great privilege of being the guest leader of this outfit for a year. Miles a day, 250 miles a day. 150 million people have been killed since 2007, more than all the wars, including Vietnam. Now we have over 120 million dead from COVID. It's estimated President Trump took those words, those literal words. If Donald Trump is reelected, now he's feeling the pressure of an economy that's teetering on a recession. You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough. And so I looked at it anyway. That's what I think my plan. I know what my plan does. $15 minimum wage, 500,000, 50,000. 330, or 303, 330, or BOO. Wait.
There are definitely moments where you listen to Joe Biden and you just wonder.
And look, he has been a skilled debater. We've seen him in the past. The question is, does he still have his stuff?
In terms of his speech and his memory, there's clearly undeniably been a lot of decline in recent years.
It's painful. It's so painful.
Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
I've had a great relationship. In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Joe says shit that even people with Tourette's go, no. No. What is going on? Joe is like your uncle who's on a new drug and hasn't got the dosage right. I'm proud to work with Barack America. He's not a superhero, you idiot. Come here. When FDR was on television, there was no TV back then. Come here, Joe. Sit down.
Very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental as well as my mental fitness. For President Trump and the demagogues around the world, but if Donald Trump is reelected, he doesn't want to shed light. He wants to generate heat, and he's stoking violence in our cities. You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump.
What you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community. Where I come from, you don't get far unless you ask. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. I'm a nominated Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, a proud Democrat, an Obama Democrat. Sure enough.
An Obama Democrat.
And, there was, I think that the former senator I heard that familiar voice, you know what I mean, just spoke. Well, he's right about one important thing. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. I'm beginning to see why your wife left you. Why attack Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it. You know, the rapidly rising I don't know. I just spoke at Dartmouth on healthcare at the medical school, or not. I guess I wasn't actually on the campus, but the people from the medical school were at the. I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. I'm not sure whether it was a medical school or where the hell I spoke, but it was on the campus. I propose, and I'm going to digress slightly. We're in a situation. The president asked me to head up a cancer moonshot. Another country and annex a significant portion of it called Crimea. He's saying that it was my boss, it was his fault. Guatemala, El Salvador, and to go in and say in Honduras and say, look, I took on Putin in terms of Iraq. In terms of what was going on in Ukraine. By strengthening, by investing $100 billion in education, in global warming efforts. It's a whole range of things. We can't afford it by just beginning to reward work as much as wealth. It get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. Have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. No man has a right to raise a hand to a woman in anger. We have to just change the culture, period, and keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it. It will be a big... No, I really mean it. And immediately change the law in the state of Delaware protecting transgender people. We have to eliminate the funding gap that exists between minority white and majority white and non-white districts. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. And I said, no. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Corruption? Trump was out there tweeting again this morning. I call him President Tweety. This guy is moving to foment hate. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying, dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you
And he's paving the way now for his preferred candidate to succeed him, Kamala Harris. I strongly suspect it's the latter much more than the former.
That's not Kamala Harris.
To prime the pump, to con everyone.
That's not Kamala Harris.
Now, when President Harris and I took...
God, these are criminals, man. God, these are sickos, man.
It looks nothing like her.
They fundamentally want to con.
The voters to send body doubles out.
Now, there's a Secret Service.
Very deceptive. It's a
For her
fake
limo.
Kamala Harris.
Everything about the Democrat Party is completely fake and manufactured. The same polling location where I caught the Biden campaign sending a fake Kamala Harris body double, they were actually calling the police on me.
Right. Now, something else that's going on, and it might be because the former senator, former attorney general is new to the job, but as you know, the military is escorting in and off military planes. She seems not to be saluting the Marines, the Army, who's ever the military officer there, who's greeting her. Is that a problem?
You know, I think it's a mistake by her. I'm not going to throw the book at her on this. You know, I just think it's one of these things where if you respect the military, if you're aware of who they are, their service to the country, it's just kind of the thing you intrinsically, automatically do when somebody salutes you, you salute back. Now, I will say Ronald Reagan started that tradition. Ronald Reagan was a veteran. He was familiar with being saluted at and saluting back. She's not. And interestingly, Brian, the vice president is not in the military chain of command. So, you know, when somebody salutes the president, that's the chain of command, even though he's not in a uniform.
Gotcha.
Vice president is not even in a uniform and is not in the military chain of command. It's the president to the Secretary of Defense and down from there. But still, the point remains the same. It's just good manners.
Absolutely.
You should respect the military when they salute back.
And I'm also respecting the fact that there's a measure moving through the House and into the Senate now, H.R. 1, that's going to federalize elections. We can get into detail, but it'll change elections, and it will be election day like we've never had before, more like election month. As H.R. 1, we're trying to give the voting to more and more people, according to the Democrats. Isn't it ironic they're trying to take a House seat away in Iowa, and even two Democrats think this is out of bounds? Ironic?
Yeah, what's happening in Iowa is an absolute power grab, and everybody should be alarmed about what Nancy Pelosi is trying to engineer. Look, this is nothing at all like what happened on January 6th. On January 6th, some Republicans, not all, some Republicans voted to disallow the election of Biden. It would not have resulted in putting in Donald Trump. It just would have sowed confusion. Here, this is an internal coup. What they're trying to do is throw out the incumbent Republican and replace her with a different Democrat. That is a total difference from January 6th. And it's an abuse of power. If the House goes through with this, I think there's going to be hell to pay. There's going to be such a rebellion going on in the House. And if I'm Kevin McCarthy, whoever wins by the narrowest margin by the Democrats when he's Speaker.
Miller Meeks won the election. She got sworn in. She's sitting. Rita Hart, they say, well, she wants an election. She didn't go to Iowa. She's actually going to the federal government to get her seat back. And even Democrats are upset by it. And I remember this happened. Something similar happened in the 80s with Newt Gingrich when he was a minority member, and it helped him become Speaker of the House. Ari, it's just unbelievable what's happening now. Do you expect H.R. 1 to actually get green-lighted in a simple majority?
You know, I can't see it passing in the Senate. You know, it's public financing in campaigns, which taxpayers have always objected to. Why should my money go to pay for Nancy Pelosi? Why should Democrat money go to pay for Marjorie Taylor Greene?
You got it.
I don't think it'll pass the Senate.
He is Ari Fleischer. Thanks so much, Ari. I appreciate you closing the show with me.
A virtual tour of a vaccination center in Arizona not long ago. One of the nurses on that tour, injecting people, giving vaccinations, said that each shot was like administering a dose of hope. a dose of hope. That's how she phrased it. Behind these 100 million shots are millions of lives changed when people receive that dose of hope. Grandparents can hug their grandchildren again. Frontline workers who can show up at their jobs without the same fear they used to have. Teachers with the confidence to head back into the classroom. These milestones are significant accomplishments, but we have much more to do, much more to do. And the American Rescue Plan will help us do it. In addition to the cash payments it provides to you and your families, it also provides the funds to add vaccinators, to supply more community vaccinations, support more community vaccination centers, and increase testing. It'll help us accelerate nationwide efforts to reopen our schools safely. And as I told the nation last week, I've directed all states, tribes, and territories to make all adults eligible to be vaccinated no later than May the 1st. I'm glad to see that several states are already taking that step to make more and more Americans eligible, even before May 1st. Tomorrow, we will hit 100 million doses our administration has administered. But I've always said, that's just the floor. We will not stop until we beat this pandemic. Next week, I will announce our next goal to put shots in arms. This is a time for optimism, but it's not a time for relaxation. I need all Americans, I need all of you to do your part. Wash your hands, stay socially distanced, keep masking up as recommended by the CDC, and get vaccinated when it's your turn. Now's not the time to let down our guard. In the last week, we've seen increases in the number of cases in several states. Scientists have made clear that things may get worse as new variants of this virus spread. Getting vaccinated is the best thing we can do to fight back against these variants. While millions of people are vaccinated, we need millions more to be vaccinated. And again, I need you to get vaccinated when it's your term and you're able to do that. I need your help. I need you to help. Not just the country, but your family, your friends, your neighbors. Get them vaccinated as well. If we keep our guard up, stick together, and stick with the science, we can look forward to a 4th of July that feels a bit more normal, with small groups able to gather for cookouts in backyards, and where we begin to declare our independence on Independence Day from the virus. Look, together we're going to come through this stronger, with renewed faith in each other and our government that fulfills its most important function, protecting the American people. Let me be clear again. Wearing this mask in the meantime, making sure you wash your hands, making sure you socially distance, listen to the CDC. We've got to reach the point where we have herd immunity, meaning where we have a vast majority of the American people have been vaccinated before we can stop wearing these. So please, please, don't let what you see happening in Europe and you see on television. Keep the faith. Keep wearing the mask. Keep washing your hands. And keep socially distanced. We're going to beat this. We're way ahead of schedule, but we got a long way to go. So I just wanted to bring you up to date. I thank you very much, and may God bless America. May God protect our troops. Thank you so much.
Mr. President, Vladimir Putin wants to open talks. Would you agree to that? Your reaction to the photo?
Especially for the 7,500 who got free tickets to the Super Bowl as a thank you for their service in the fight against COVID-19.
We wanted to thank all the frontline healthcare heroes, both at the game and watching across the country. You put yourself at risk to keep the rest of us safe.
We all can do our part to save lives. Wear masks, stay socially distanced, get tested, get vaccinated when it's your turn. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Kingswood Community Center. Actually, that's the one down I used to work. As a joke. You didn't know where we were. Anyway. Range of challenges Europe and the United States must take on together is broad and complex. And I'm eager to hear. I'm eager to hear. Switch here. You two come here.
There we go.
You got it? Okay.
And the people in the back, yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Kingswood Community Center. Actually, that's the one down I used to work. As a joke. You didn't know where we were. Anyway. Range of challenges Europe and the United States must take on together is broad and complex. And I'm eager to hear. I'm eager to hear. Switch here. You two come here.
There we go.
You got it? Okay.
And the people in the back, yeah. Thank you.
Problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump.
This year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. I mean, you think about it. They got to price in the carbon. They have to price in the price of carbon, and so there's so much. I think. Anyway, look. One more question here. For people who have lost, anyway. Test. Why the hell would I take a test? Wait. You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Anyway. Hey, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me. In addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are, well, let me go the second. January of 2018, I found myself in a circumstance where, 2012, and I was waiting for a black man, Tom, to come and pick me up from Philadelphia, a guy named Barack Obama, on the 17th of January to take me to Washington, a trip I've made 1,000 times, commuting every day, to be sworn in as president and vice president. Like a president. Wait. You're getting nervous, man. Look, you're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
A lot of guys want me. I'm not worried.
That's a stupid way to say it.
Donald.
Billion, it'd be 154 billion. 2.5 million, 300,000. Like 600 plus thousand people. There's each and every one of them.
60,000. Yeah, 60,000.
660. I missed it. It would put 720 million women back in the workforce. Joe 30330 and help me in this fight. Thank you very much. Took on Putin in terms of Iraq. In terms of what was going on in Ukraine. I've taken on these leaders around the world. I'm the guy that's gone in and met them. I've taken on all these leaders. U.S. troops don't stand. That's like just flat out acknowledging. We've been doing everything we can do to keep Biden from being the nominee, and guess what? We tried it in Iraq. It's not working, so now we're going to try, in Iran. Excuse me. We tried in Ukraine. Good afternoon, and welcome to the nation's Constitution Center. We had the great privilege of being the guest leader of this outfit for a year. Miles a day, 250 miles a day. 150 million people have been killed since 2007, more than all the wars, including Vietnam. Now we have over 120 million dead from COVID. It's estimated President Trump took those words, those literal words. If Donald Trump is reelected, now he's feeling the pressure of an economy that's teetering on a recession. You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough. And so I looked at it anyway. That's what I think my plan. I know what my plan does. $15,000, $15 minimum wage, 500,000, 50,000. Excuse me, 50,000. 330 or 303-330 or BOO. Wait.
There are definitely moments where you listen to Joe Biden and you just wonder.
And look, he has been a skilled debater. We've seen him in the past. The question is, does he still have his stuff?
In terms of his speech and his memory, there's clearly undeniably been a lot of decline in recent years.
Oh, it's painful. It's so painful.
Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
I've had a great relationship. In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
If it was approved by the government, what steps would you take to give Americans confidence in a vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter.
A dark winter. In 2001, a real-world exercise tested the emergency response to a bioterror attack on the continental United States. The operation was called Dark Winter.
A dark winter. And he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going to be a vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year.
Because that's what Americans do now. They're always willing to trade away a little of their freedom in exchange for the feeling, the illusion of security. What we have now is a completely neurotic population obsessed with security and safety and crime and drugs and cleanliness and hygiene and germs. There's another thing, germs. Where did this sudden fear of germs come from? In this country. Have you noticed this? The media constantly running stories about all the latest infections, salmonella, E. coli, hantavirus, bird flu, and Americans they panic easily, so now everybody's running around scrubbing this and spraying that and overcooking their food and repeatedly washing their hands, trying to avoid all contact with germs. It's ridiculous, and it goes to ridiculous lengths. Fear of germs, why these fucking pussies? Hey, where's your sense of adventure? Take a fucking chance, will you? Besides, what do you think you have an immune system for? It's for killing germs. But it needs practice. It needs germs to practice on. So listen. If you kill all the germs around you and live a completely sterile life, then when germs do come along, you're not going to be prepared. And never mind ordinary germs, what are you going to do when some super virus comes along that turns your vital organs into liquid shit? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get sick, you're going to die, and you're going to deserve it because you're fucking weak and you got a fucking weak immune system. Now, God damn it. Let me tell you a true story about immunization, okay? When I was a little boy in New York City in the 1940s, we swam in the Hudson River, and it was filled with raw sewage, okay? We swam in raw sewage, to cool off. And at that time, the big fear was polio. Thousands of kids died from polio every year. But you know something? In my neighborhood, no one ever got polio. No one, ever. You know why? Because we swam in raw sewage. It strengthened our immune systems. The polio never had a prayer. We were tempered in raw shit.
The operation predicted a rapid breakdown in essential institutions, civil disorder, and massive civilian casualties.
As I said, introducing Patrick, the only uncharted totally uncharted portion of the universe is the brain. I had, as we used to say in the Senate, excuse the point of personal privilege here. I had 2 cranial aneurysms. And they literally had to take the top of my head off. I mean, they take a saw and they cut your head off and and go in to find the artery that is, one was leaking, the other that hadn't before it burst. There's this, those of you who are docs know there's every profession has their sick jokes. The joke among docs is, how do you know someone's had an cranial aneurysm? On the autopsy table. Only 20% of the people have it even get to the table. Well, one of the fascinating things is, the second operation, after the first one, which was a bleed, and they gave me a relatively low chance of surviving, I remember going down to the doc, asking the doc, and you know, you're counting the ceiling tiles, and you're heading into the operating room. A lot of you have been there. And I said, Doc, what are my chances? I had two great neurosurgeons. And I'll never forget, I will not mention his name, he's one of the leading neurosurgeons in the world. He said, Senator, for mortality or morbidity? And I'm thinking, I swear to God, true story. I'm thinking, oh, geez, you know, well, I said, let me put it this way. It was a long road to the operating room. I said, sister, absolutely true story. I said, what are my chances of getting off this table and being completely normal? He said, well, your chances of living are a lot better. And I said, okay, what are they? He said, well, they're in the 35 to 50% range. And I thought, well, seriously, I'm just a born optimist. I said, well, hell, that means 35 out of 100, 50 out of 100 make it. I might as well be the one. I said, what's the most likely thing that will happen if I live? But what? He said, well, the side of the brain that the first aneurysm is on controls your ability to speak. And I thought, why in the hell didn't they tell me this before the '88 campaign? It could have saved us all a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? Now I'm going down the second operation, 4 months later, and because it's on the other side of my head. And this is not about me, but it's about the truth. They put together the same crews. You know, they always want the same anesthesiologist, the same team if they've done an operation on you. And so there was a great guy named Dr. Hart, military. He had been transferred from Reed down to Texas. And they brought him back, and he's the anesthesiologist, and I'm going down. Now, this operation had a 98% chance because it hadn't bled at all. They told me this was going to be. And so trying to make me feel better, the doc, kidding the neurosurgeon, looked at me and he said, looked down at me and said, Senator, do you know why neurosurgeons have the biggest egos in medicine? I said, no, I don't know. He said, who in the hell else would go into the brain with such confidence knowing as little as they know about it? And I thought about that for a second and decided to stop thinking about it. But all kidding aside, there's so much we don't know. So much we don't know. And Patrick Kennedy and I believe the same way. The possibilities are immense. We don't know what they are. They're immense. And that's why the president has asked for $100 million to launch a new initiative to map the human brain. Truly the last frontier. And the prospects are overwhelming to the very thing we're most concerned about mental health.
We've become. Our lifestyle, our security, our safety depends on a delicate and unstable economy. We've created a system so complicated that we no longer understand how to control it. Oil, power, shipping, transport. We live in a complex world. And the more complex it gets, the more fragile it becomes. The system is built on a global supply chain that gets things where they're needed, just in time. We've created a house of cards. Remove just one, and everything falls apart. And what's fueling this system?
Money. Americans can spend $90 billion in a single day of shopping. Last year, 200 million people swarmed their local stores on November 23rd. We call that day Black Friday. Did you know that a flu virus can survive on the surface of a banknote for up to 17 days? One day there will be a pandemic. It could begin during the crush of Black Friday sales. A pathogen will jump from tainted banknotes to human skin, onto food, toys, children, and loved ones. By the time patient zero feels the first sore throat, millions of people will already be infected. From this point, the breakdown will happen fast.
Day 1. Hospitals will reach capacity. Panic will strike. Day 2. Quarantine zones will be established. Resources will be rationed. Transport will go into lockdown. Day 3. International trade will stop. The oil will dry up. The stock market will collapse. Day 4. The power will fail. The shelves will be empty. The taps will run dry. And once hunger and despair take hold, people will do anything for survival. By day 5, everyone will be a potential threat.
In 2007, a new presidential directive was signed quietly into law. This maps out the government's response to a crisis, a plan to cope with a real dark winter. It is known as Directive 51. There are rumors of shadow agencies, sleeper cells, covert agents, but nothing can be confirmed.
Our complex world is primed for breakdown.
And once the chaos strikes,
there won't be resources to save us all.
The only question left is, what will it take to save what remains?